Hello, Nurse! So with Pokemon Legends ZA being out for a while now, we've gotten to know a lot of the NPCs around Lumio City, but of course the one NPC you're obviously going to run into the most is the Pokemon Center Lady. Yes, the nurse is a Pokemon, though I guess also called Pokemon Center Ladies or sometimes receptionists. You know, the women at the Pokemon Centers there to heal your Pokemon. So anyway, with the NPCs of Pokemon Legends ZA, we see a good amount of variation between them, which is something that we never really saw in the old Pokemon games, represented by sprites, 3D models, and sometimes 2D art. For the most part, every trainer of a trainer class looked the same, with maybe like 2 or 3 variations. But now in modern 3D Pokemon games, you'll see different trainers at about every turn. Obviously some designs will be repeated and sometimes you'll run into the same character over again, but it is a nice little detail. This is something that we did see in Scarlet and Violet actually, though I feel like we haven't really talked about it a whole lot. You know, maybe some of the weirdos had complaints about it, but for the most part I think a lot of the focus of characters and character designs in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet was with the characters that we interact a lot more with and have an important role to play in the story. Ah yes, my friends in Paldea, I miss you guys so much. But now I feel like the change to generic NPCs has become a lot more obvious, because it finally reached the Pokemon Center ladies that we meet so often. Yes, the well-beloved character trope in the Pokemon franchise that we get to see in every generation. And yeah, I feel like it is really weird that this is the first time we're seeing all this variation with them. We did sort of see it in Scarlet and Violet, like I said, for the most part they were always the same at every Pokemon Center, but in the Teal Mask DLC that brought us to the land of Kitakami, that is where we really got to see one of the funny designs for the Pokemon Center receptionist. Just the extra character that she's given with not only her design, but also her dialogue and posture. So now that brings us to Lumio City and Pokemon Legends ZA, where there are multiple Pokemon centers across the city, and each one is managed by a different nurse. They do all still wear the same outfit and are generally the same character model, but you'll see variations in the skin tone, eyes, and facial features, which is a really fun idea, and again, one of the first times that we're seeing this for the nurses in Pokemon. Now I feel like there is a bit of confusion when it comes to things like the nurses in the Pokemon anime, all of them being named Nurse Joy and looking the exact same, apparently being related. This is a funny little running gag for the anime only, and I feel like it was really kind of making fun of the video games, being that all of these characters looked exactly the same because they were depicted by the same sprite, which as we know from the Pokemon community, people weren't necessarily able to differentiate between them, seeing 2 different trainers in different places but thinking that they were the same trainer because they share the same character model. That just isn't really how it works. So yeah, in the anime, the fact that they were all named Nurse Joy and looked exactly the same was meant to be a joke from the beginning, and even though they did all wear different outfits depending on the generation, for the most part they might as well have all been the same, having very similar personalities aside from some outliers, on top of that having children that just look exactly the same as them. But I think that was always a fun part in the anime whenever we saw a nurse with a different appearance, or something else that made them stand out. I mean, look at Molly from the currently airing Pokemon Horizons anime. She worked at a Pokemon Center, her mother was a Nurse Joy, but her design is just completely unique and really cool. The point is, coming back to Pokemon Legends ZA, that one is existing in its own continuity. Definitively all the nurses in the video games were never meant to be related, they were all individual people, but now in Pokemon Legends ZA actually showing you the differences between them kind of reiterates that. I had always assumed that that was the case, just something more realistic, in that people who want to work at a Pokemon Center have to study for it and apply to it. Again, you know, a concept that we actually did see in the anime, but it wasn't really utilized all that much, in favor of continuing the running joke of basically every nurse being the same. But again, it is really fun seeing it here, and I'm very sure that we're going to see this continued. And you know, it is also really interesting that even though I feel like a good amount of the NPC designs in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet did feel a bit weird or generic, I mean, there's even a really memorable joke about some of these characters because they're so unremarkable, but now in Pokemon Legends ZA, I really feel like a lot of these designs are a bit more definitive, in the sense that yes, they can all be changed and have their own different appearances, but they're all still very strong and memorable. Need we forget what happened when everybody found out what the Hex Maniac design looked like in this game? And with the return of side missions this time taking place across the entire city, we're treated to even more cool moments with some of these NPCs. In fact, you can even battle one of the nurses. That's right, as a side mission, one of the Pokemon Center clerks named Bien will challenge you to a battle, and I think that is really cool. She is like one of the first ones that you meet and still does have the basic appearance. There's nothing all too different about her, aside from the fact that she does want to battle you, but it is a really fun time. The battle isn't all too difficult, but she has a fun gimmick of using a bunch of Pokemon that heal themselves, but with enough determination, you'll be able to defeat her pretty easily. So that one is a really fun time, though in all honesty I really do wish that we would have gotten more side missions for some of the other clerks around the city to make the rest of them actual characters and give them some more personality. Though for the record, this is not the first time that you've been able to battle a Pokemon nurse. In the battle tree of Pokemon Sun and Moon, sometimes they'll show up, and technically you were able to compete against one in a Pokemon contest in Pokemon Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum, and even though that isn't a battle, I feel like it does count to some degree because this one does have their own name, which I would really like to see going forward. So let me know what you think about all the nurses, clerks, receptionists, or whatever you want to call them in the Pokemon franchise, and what you think of some of the changes that we got to see recently in games like Scarlet and Violet and now Pokemon Legends ZA. Which one is your favorite? Also remember to leave a like, subscribe, hype up the video, all that cool stuff, as we're continuing into the new year. Though for the moment, I'm really looking forward to Pokemon Generation 10 and how the nurse designs are going to look in that game. Thank you to every channel member for your continued support, including the great Gators. That's Ven, Impbrush, Mara, Jaza, Justin Dowes, Alex with Shiny Hunts, KoiKoi13, Cemetery Hill, Cheez-It62, GatorKid509, TF, Mathiclog947, Taijirai, Phantom, and Quago. If you'd like to support, see your name here, get access to emotes for comments, live streams, sometimes early videos, and our members Discord server as well as the podcast, you can become a channel member today. You can also follow me on Twitter and Blue Sky as well for more memes. Anyway, this is GatorX and I will catch you all later.
Oh, hi Jenny. Hey Jenny. Officer Jenny? Me, Officer Jenny. Hey, you look familiar. Have we met? I love that outfit you're wearing. Oh, this old thing? Now before we finish, are there any other suggestions?
Yes, I suggest we arrest Ash and take his Pikachu.
Arrest those imposters! It's Officer Jenny's only.
Pokémon, weekday mornings at 7 on Channel 26, The U.